Yo, today I'm going to be showing you how to make industry standard dark trap beats like Metro Boomin from scratch inside of FL Studio. What do I mean by industry standard? I'm going to be showing you all the tips, tricks and techniques that producers inside of the music industry use when making dark trap melodies and creating their hard-hitting drums. I'm technically signed with Signature Studios, which is one of the biggest studios in the UK. Basically any big rap song that's ever come out of the UK has gone through this studio through my manager Sean. And then my boys Harry Beach, HLA8 are all the in-house producers in this studio that run sessions every single day. So I always get the inside scoop of what's actually going on inside of the music industry. Learning these new industry techniques of making melodies and how to create these drum patterns might help artists prefer your beats if they're sounding more industry standard. So without further ado, let's get cracking with this. So we're making a dark trap beat and I'm picking the scale of 160 BPM to work inside of. For the melody, we're actually going to use a classic Metro Boomin formula that he uses across many different songs.
Yeah. Put up, I don't hang with rats, that's some new type shit.
Not only Metro Boomin uses this formula, but it can actually be found across multiple different trap songs. So, what is it that makes all these songs sound the same? It's the chord progression. We're starting off inside of Analog Labs for our first sound, which is kind of like a trap bell. Other alternatives to Analog Labs that I would suggest is probably like Omnisphere, and that's kind of it. Omnisphere is a little bit too big on storage and a little bit expensive for my liking, so I just stick to Analog Labs. For today, we're going to work inside of the scale of C# minor, one of my favorites. And how we achieve this chord progression that Metro uses is by placing notes in the first and the fourth notes in your scale. Then you want to turn these two notes into minor chords. What producers like to do instead of leaving the chords like this is actually mess with the inversions. So if we just take this top note and pitch it down, and to make this chord even bigger, what we can do is actually pitch these middle notes up an octave so that the chords become like this. Sounds way fuller, sounds way nicer. And then all we need to do then is literally just repeat the process for 8 bars. For a slight bit of variation, we can still add extra inversions. So I'm going to pitch the G sharp of the third chord up. This is the first part of the formula. The next part is basically the melody that will come on top of these chords up here. We use a technique that requires 4 notes that uses a pattern that goes down, up, all inside of 1 bar with each note being 1 beat long. Let me show you. So we're going to go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. See, it's that simple. And just like that, it's already kind of sounding like a Metro kind of style. For mixing tips, an industry standard thing to put on bells would be Crystallizer. And if you've got headphones on, you'll be able to really hear this. But it just adds a slight bit of movement behind the bells. Next thing to do is to pick out some more sounds for our melody. We're going to grab this pad inside of Analog Labs again. I'm going to use the same chord progression, except this time I'm actually going to pitch these 2 notes up instead of inverting them down. And we might just actually pitch the entire thing up. Just adding a little bit of ambience behind the bell melody. Lastly, we're just going to stereo shape the pad ever so slightly. Stereo shaping your melodies is a very, very important part of making melodies. Knowing and understanding your stereo and mono fields is very important. We're coming into Kontakt and we're taking a bank called Lunaris 2. And I'm trying to find like a string sound that I can layer on top of my top melody. So like I said, we're just trying to play the top melody. I'm just not going to play the C notes. Alright, the attack is a tiny bit slow on this, so we're just going to knock it back maybe like 2 steps like that. Maybe 1. So we're going to stay inside of Lunaris 2 and we're going to grab a pad. And we want to just kind of fill in some of the space in the melody by maybe playing 1 extra chord. That's going to kind of add some ambience or texture to the actual melody itself. So the notes that we can play are these. Let's invert this. And maybe that. got a nice kind of ambience and sweep to it. I feel like we're missing that tiny sort of high-end texture in the melody. So we're going to grab this sound. Now this has a bass underneath it. I'm actually going to EQ the low end out of this melody because we're going to add a bass later ourselves. So we're just taking out the low end and we're actually just boosting the high mids a little bit of this sound. I feel like one thing that is genuinely missing here is like a grand piano kind of sound. And we are going to come to one of the most industry standard pianos that you can find, which is Noir and Contact. We're just taking the dark preset as well. I'm not going to play every single chord. I think I'm just going to repeat the first chord like this. And we can add the extra bass note down low. And then let's strum these notes by pressing Alt and S. And then also pressing Alt and R to randomize the velocity. Doing both of these actions will help your piano sound way more realistic. A staple piece of Metro Boomin's melodies are those kind of iconic choir stabs that he uses. So we're coming into Requiem Light inside of Contact and we're taking a staccato choir. And once again, we're just laying down the same chord progression. Eventually in this melody, we will have a bass come in either in like the intro section or the bridge section. So we're using a respace, and an industry tip to do with your respace is slide your notes. But for now, we're going to actually take the bass off. So this is stage 1 complete. But we still have stage 2, which is the drums, and stage 3, which is the arrangement. I've been working on a multi-kit for the past 4 to 5 months. It's got drums, midis, mixer presets, one-shots, phrases, pads, melodies, perk loops, everything that you need to spark creativity when making beats. I currently have a waiting list for it right now. If you join the waiting list, you'll be notified when the kit is released, and also you'll be able to access it pre-launch at a very discounted rate. Link in the description. All you have to do is just type in your email address and that's it. All my drum kits that I release are actually used by so many producers inside of the music industry, you'd be very surprised. From drill producers like M1 on the Beat, all the way to the drum and bass superstars that are chasing status. So if you're looking for industry sounds, or if you're just looking for some premium drum kits, you know where to go. All right, stage 2, the drums. Before I touch the drums, I'm actually going to show you my master. First of all, we got a soft clipper. Soft clipper is your industry standard when making trap beats. Just use a soft clipper. Don't think about it. Now, I usually use the stock fruity soft clipper, but just recently I bought the T-Rax classic clipper and I've been kind of testing it out a little bit, and only because I know a lot of industry producers use this T-Rax soft clipper and I know a lot of them swear by it. A tiny bit of sauce that I actually put on my master is Ozone Imager. This is basically just shaping my beat the exact way that I want it. Like I said earlier on, your stereo and mono fields extremely important. Ozone Imager isn't a must. Soft clipper is a must. How most producers would start off a beat would probably just be the hi-hat, but I actually like to put down my snare pattern first. I feel like your hi-hat placement and your hi-hat rolls revolve around where your snare is. So for me to be able to create my hi-hat groove, I need to hear my snare first. So now let's get the hi-hat down. I'm going to try just kind of get the bounce down first, and then I'm going to go back and then fill in the rolls. Hi-hats really aren't that deep, but the main thing you want to do is make sure that you're not doing too much. You always want to leave pockets of space for the artists themselves. I feel like we can get like some accent hats underneath. We're going to layer our hats at the very start of the bar to really give like more of an emphasis at the very start. Next thing we're grabbing is open hats, and open hats are essential in trap beats. Just added in a second accent snare. And there is now 2 things missing from this beat, which is our 808 and our kick. And now this is where I have a slightly different opinion to maybe some industry standard producers. Normally, I just like to use a hard hitting spins 808 that does not need a kick. However, most industry producers like Metro Boomin They use a kick and an 808. And we have the old age question of how to use a kick and an 808 at the same time without them sounding muddy. And I'm going to show you exactly how. There's a couple of techniques. First of all, you want to come to your mixer track that your kick is routed to. Put this fully in mono. You want your kick always in mono. Normally kicks are mono. Secondly, reverse the polarity of your kick, which is this little button here. This basically flips your sound wave upside down. And now the third technique is side chaining. I'm going to be using a plugin called Track Spacer to help me do this. I'm side chaining my kick to my 808. I'm opening Track Spacer on my 808. So now on my 808 and my kick play, you can see. Now let's make our pattern. We'll go with the 808 first. Also, last quick industry tip: if you want to boost your 808, or if you want your 808 to be a little bit louder, you come inside of it here. You can boost it using this boost knob, and you can also EQ it using this knob. Don't use your kick on every single 808 note. This will create a way more impactful groove. That's stage 2 complete, which leaves us with stage 3, the arrangement. We're going to work with the melodies first. This first 8 here is going to be an intro. So this is where we just want to introduce the melody, but not everything. This next 16 is going to be your hook, or it could be pre-hook and hook. So again, you want to introduce more of the melody, but not everything. And then finally, this is like your main part of the beat. This is where you want to bring in everything. This is where you want everything playing, basically. Which then leaves us with a verse and also a bridge. So for the verse, you can cut a lot of the melody, and you can start to bring in extra bits of the melody, kind of building up again. It's always about building up momentum towards something. And then lastly, for the bridge section, this is where we can bring in the bass. For the bridge of a beat, there's a couple of things that you can do to kind of make it sound a little bit nicer. You can like reverse your melody for a bridge, or some things that I like to do. I'm also bringing in a perk loop, just coming from my new drum kit. And then for the drums, these basically follow the same principles that I did with the melodies, just introducing sounds. Then for your main part of your hook, that's where you want absolutely everything going on, and then slowly starting to take out the drums as it fades into the bridge. And all you have to do is copy and paste that over, and all of a sudden you have a complete industry standard dark trap beat from scratch inside of FL Studio. We will play this now in full. If this is your first time watching me, I would appreciate it if you can hit the subscribe button, or if you've watched me before and you're still not subscribed, what are you doing? And if you're an OG, hit the like button for me. It does tell YouTube that other producers should be watching this content. Let's listen to this and see how much it gels together. So it's the intro coming into the pre-hook or the hook. Then this is the main hook. Into a verse. Still the verse, taking out the 808s, bringing in the bass of the piano. And then this is coming into our bridge. Back into the pre-hook or the hook. Very, very simple, man. Follow these steps and you can do exactly this yourself. I appreciate you for watching, man. In a bit. Love.